Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sporting Cast podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Red. Today, we'll be welcoming Hal Hershfelt of the Washington Spirit, and we'll be welcoming also Halle Mackiewicz of the Chicago Stars. Both ladies are playing professional soccer now, but we're going to take a step back. They were teammates at Clemson University, so we're going to talk about why they chose soccer, why they chose Clemson, and now their life as a professional athlete. And then as another thing we're going to talk to them about is being teammates and now competitors. And they're going to share a little bit about their story and their advice to the next generation of soccer players. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sporting Cast podcast. Today we have two guests, Hal Hershfelt of the Washington Spirit and Halle Mackiewicz of the Chicago Stars. Ladies, first off, thank you very much for joining. How are you today?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. My soccer story was very short-lived. I was 9 years old. I substituted for my sister's co-ed 7 and 8-year-old soccer team. And, I was more of a runner. I would say someone like Hal's position, let me get the legs moving. And they decided to throw me in goalie. So I played your position, Halle. I gave up 5 goals at halftime. I was crying, and I never played the sport again. So that's my journey with the sport of soccer. So I'm excited that you guys are on here to share your story, a little bit more interesting and a lot longer of a journey that you guys have each had. So thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So Hal, I'll start with you. Why did you pick soccer, and what made you fall in love with the sport?
Gosh, to keep things short, I was like a really high energy, like annoying kid. And I think my parents just kind of threw me in every sport to try it out. My dad actually brought me into soccer. He played soccer growing up. But yeah, I stuck with soccer because I love being on a team. I'm a super team-oriented person, and I feel like I could run around a lot and also kick a ball. I was too bored in track because it was just running and you're done. I needed more because I definitely had focus issues. So that was soccer. That's where I got it all out, and I've been with it ever since.
So if I read up correctly, you moved around a lot as a child. I think you may be part of a military family. Is that something that maybe soccer helped shape you by playing with different people, or was it something that you just kind of moved around and eventually just found the love for soccer?
I feel like it definitely, with all the moves that I had, I never lived anywhere for more than 2 years, except Clemson was actually the longest place I've ever lived, which is crazy to think of. But it gave me a community everywhere that I went. Like, no matter where I went, I had a team and I had a group of people that I could get along with and you kind of go into. So yeah, it definitely gave me a sense of community no matter where I went. And that's probably an extra reason why I love it so much.
And Halle, so for you, you grew up in Colorado. You played a lot of soccer growing up. My understanding is you're also a very good basketball player. In high school, you averaged over 15 points, 6 rebounds a game. You maybe looked at pursuing basketball at one point. What made you fall in love with soccer and ultimately just decide to stick with the sport as opposed to mainly playing basketball?
Yeah, I obviously loved both of them. I think that soccer was what was going to get me ultimately to the universities and places that I wanted to go. Obviously, my education is also really important. I don't know, I feel like when you're playing when you're younger, it's kind of just whichever door is open for you. And I kind of thought about basketball for a little bit, and I felt that just overall soccer would be a better thing for me to commit to for my future.
And is it something that you knew right away of when you were in high school, was it like a buildup of, okay, I need to prioritize my education? And I think soccer maybe allows to get a scholarship, or is it something where, basketball, you're like, well, it could maybe take me the same path, but you just felt like soccer opened up more doors for you in general?
I also just think soccer, I don't know, I loved it. And then basketball was always kind of my second choice. So even though I loved that too, it was just, yeah, kind of making up my mind and kind of sticking to one, even though I would have loved to do both.
So you guys come from different places. You guys both end up being teammates at Clemson. But before you got to Clemson, you guys both had pretty significant injuries. Halle, you tore your UCL, and Hal, you tore your ACL. How did you guys navigate those injuries, and did it affect your recruiting process at all?
You go first.
Yeah, I think I was kind of fortunate enough that when it happened, I was still young enough in high school to where it didn't have too much of an impact on my recruiting process. That was obviously my first major injury, so it was still tough. But with the UCL, since I'm not a throwing athlete technically, it was about 6 months. And I think that was like my freshman spring, maybe. So then by the time I came back, I was able to get right back into games and club. And that was kind of like when the recruiting process really ramped up, I think. Back when we went through the recruiting process was like sophomore year in high school. So I think my timing was pretty fortunate, honestly, that it didn't affect anything like that too much.
Nice.
Mine was the opposite. So I made this like crazy move. It wasn't because of the military. I made this move to Atlanta in high school because I played at like a really tiny club in Florida at the time. And so I went up to Atlanta. I was living with my extended family at the time, and I was playing with like a bigger club team, and I was finally getting recruited by colleges. And I was probably like not even a month into playing with my new Atlanta team, like getting a ton of visibility. Like I had ACC coaches come in, and that was like the conference that I wanted to play in. And I blew out like my entire knee, like ACL, meniscus, MCL, like everything. And I was like devastated because obviously it was literally sophomore going into junior year. So it was like, that's when people were committing. That was when the money was drying up. And I'm not going to lie, it did kind of, because people were like committing to kids and they were running out of money. And, but that's honestly one of the big reasons it led me to where I needed to be, because Clemson was probably like one of the only schools that still withheld their offer, regardless of me blowing out my knee. My coach was like, honestly, this is going to make you a better player. It's going to make you hungrier. It's going to make you appreciate the game more. So my offer stands. And it was a big risk for me to just commit, even though I was hurt. But that's what I did. I had something kind of tell me I needed to do that, and in my gut, and I did. And I'm so happy that I did.
So you had schools pull their scholarship away from you after you had that injury?
Yeah.
So how does that affect you just from like a psychiatric standpoint, right? Because you have all these goals that you're wanting to accomplish, but as these schools are decommitting, are you losing confidence in yourself, or is it something where, okay, Clemson's still here, I'm still keeping that same mindset of, hungry and trying to be positive, but it's also hard to be positive when that's going on, I'm sure.
I mean, it made me hungrier, I think. I think my coach was right. Like, if anything, I got fired up and I was like, okay, like, you don't think I'm worth it now? Like, I'll show you why I'm worth it later. Of course, like, I had to wait 9 months. Like, that was a true test of, like, patience for me. It was just trusting the rehab process and coming back when I needed to and when I felt was right. But, yeah, I think it definitely kind of fueled my fire a little bit, I'd say.
So you guys go to Clemson. You guys both have very illustrious careers there. You guys both finished first team all conference. And Halle, I believe you were the ACC goalie of the year. What was your guys' time like at Clemson together, being teammates, just with the team? Obviously, it sounds like you guys were very happy with both of your decisions of going to Clemson. Halle, when you reflect on your time at Clemson, is there something that sticks out or that you just remember from your time there?
Yeah, I think we might both say the same thing, but we had a lot of talent on our team all 4 years that I played. And I think we kind of finally put all the pieces together our senior year, made it to the College Cup, which was obviously amazing. But I think it was just cool because we stuck it out for all 4 years. Not that we didn't have a successful 3 years prior, but I think our team and how we performed our senior year and just the success that we had was a testament to all the work we put in for the 3 years before.
And how?
Yeah, I mean, it was insane. I feel like, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Me as a fifth year, I feel like my literal entire fifth year class decided to stay. We finished up our fourth year. We were like, dang, it didn't end how we wanted it to. Like, do we stay another year? Because it's a big commitment deciding if you want to stay in college a whole nother year or not when you're like 5 years older than the 18-year-olds coming in. I'm like, dang.
You're like, the gray hair's already coming in a little bit for these 18-year-olds.
People are going to know I'm old. But yeah, we all decided to stay. And I feel like the team truly backed us with that. Because I remember we had like this crazy meeting at the beginning of the year. And we're like, hey, like, stuff's hard. Like, it's going to be hard. This season's going to feel long, but at the end of the day, like, we got to do it for each other. And it's big for all of us, but especially us fifth years, because like we decided to come back and we decided to make this decision and put our lives on hold for another year so that we can win something and do something great. And I feel like they backed us like entirely, and we made it to a college cup. First time in Clemson history. So it was amazing. I still remember like putting up the little sign after we won.
That was our first college cup appearance.
Yeah. And so we had to put a sign at Riggs all together after we won the game. And it was insane.
So as a fifth year, a proud fifth year myself, can you guys, like your fifth year class, speaking obviously for your fifth years, Hal, was it something where you guys were all kind of talking about it as your senior year ended, or was it something where we made the decision at this point, we knew we're coming back, and like you said, the rest of the team backed you from there?
It's funny because I think each and every one of us, our senior year, because that last spring when you're not in season and you're just doing fitness with your team and you're like, man, like, I don't know if I can do this again. That's it. We were all like, people were like, no, like, we're not going to go. Like, we're not going to do another year. We don't need it. And then that year ended, my senior year, and we were kind of like, we had a poor ending. I think we finished up in like the first round.
Yeah,
like a team that we were not supposed to lose to. And we looked at each other and we like, we can't go out like this. Like, this team deserves so much more. We're so talented. And if we were to leave now, I mean, like, what would be the legacy that we'd leave? Like, we lost in the first round and dipped. Like, that sucks. So, I mean, we came back and we thugged it out because we were like, this team deserves like so much more. We deserve more. And like, I mean, it showed.
Yeah. No, I mean, kudos to you for that. I mean, from my standpoint, when I took a fifth year, we kind of had the same group of guys, kind of same thing, didn't go well. Except our fifth year ended up being COVID, so we didn't really have that last opportunity. But it makes you reflect, and there's no regrets of coming back for that fifth year. I think, if anything, like probably what both of you guys did as seniors and leaders of the team, you guys set that example for those freshmen, sophomores, incoming seniors of what you want the culture to be like and the new standard to be like. So, no, that's very cool. So, both of you then get drafted. Hal, you get drafted 5th overall by the Washington Spirit. What was that feeling like?
I mean, it was amazing. The Spirit, like, definitely was one of the teams that I wanted to go to going into the process. And I just felt so blessed. I got that call and I was like, I wasn't actually physically at the draft, but I was back home. So they had to like call me on the phone. And I remember I was just waiting. And then I finally got the call and my family was freaking out. And then it was just awesome. It was amazing.
So you got the call slightly before and then they announced it. And what are the emotions like just from celebrating with your family and friends? Is it something where you reflect on your whole life, or is it just that, okay, this happened, but you want to keep staying that hungry mindset that you're talking about?
I'd say a little bit of both. I feel like my journey's been a little weird with having to constantly bounce around and kind of find my way and having tough moments, like finally getting recruited, blowing out my knee, going to college for 5 years, like being patient in that sense. And then I feel like those are some of the moments where you're like, oh man, like it was all for that, but then you can still be hungry from it and be like, all right, like I'm just getting started. This is great to get drafted this high, but at the same time, like I want to show why, like I am here and why I did get my name called,
And Halle, you get drafted 32nd overall by the Kansas City Current. However, you had an injury at that time, so I don't think they signed you. You had to play a year over in Sweden. What was that process like of getting drafted, but then, you had to fight adversity right from the get-go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had my labrum repaired after my senior year, my senior fall. So after I got drafted, I kind of just stayed in Clemson because obviously we have great facilities, rehab, doctors, all that. So I did my rehab here while I was finishing my education. And then after that, I did end up going to Kansas City for a little bit. And then, that's just how the league goes. It didn't necessarily work out there. And so I was fortunate enough that a goalkeeper on team in Sweden had just left and went somewhere else. So I was able to jump into that for 3 months instead of kind of having to spend a whole year overseas, I guess. So I was there for 10 games and it was definitely really cool. Like I wouldn't change it for anything. I think I missed home a little bit was a big thing for me. So I wanted to try to come back to the States when I could, but the experience and having my first professional contract was still like amazing.
Now, when you went to Sweden, did you understand what, and I don't know, maybe just for the conversation to both of you, for someone like Hal who has grown up and moving around a lot of her life, did you guys Hal, did you give her any advice during that time of, hey, you're doing something different, you're across the country, not just across another state? Is it something where, you know, just from a friend standpoint of just, hey, I went through this when I was, growing up, you're now in this situation? Or is it just something that you just enjoyed the ride from the get-go and you knew you were coming back at some point too?
Yeah, I think honestly, I had a lot of support from Hal and everyone around me, but the best thing you can do is just get thrown into the fire. I think when you're going somewhere, especially so far away, it's in a foreign country, you're basically all by yourself. You just have to go and just kind of become super independent and kind of just take care of business, if that makes sense. So everyone was really supportive when I went over there, but yeah, like I said, I feel like you kind of just have to go and just do it.
No, and I feel like she's always been good at that, like transition piece. Like, I mean, I saw her come into Clemson and she kind of took the bull by the horns and got along with the team really well. So I feel like all of us had like full confidence in her being able to, I know it's different, a different country is different than college, but to be able to take on a new environment and fit in.
So Hallie, you then go to the Chicago Stars and you actually make your debut versus the Kansas City Current when Alyssa Nair got injured. What was that feeling like? And was it kind of like a written in the stars moment of, oh my gosh, like I'm playing, but also I'm playing against the team that drafted me? And was it kind of a shift in your mindset of what you wanted to do next?
I honestly think I kind of blacked out a little bit whenever it happened. Cause I mean, as a goalkeeper, it's tough. I mean, you have to stay ready, but it's not like I knew going into that day that I was going to be going into the game. So I did look back after the game and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny that it was against Kansas City. Just like a little bit of a full circle moment, kind of. But I didn't really read too much into it. I was kind of just one step at a time because I think I was a little bit like dazed whenever I went in.
And Hal, you guys had a very good season. You guys went to the championship game, lost 1-0 to Gotham FC. But your rookie year, you led the all rookies in minutes. And then this year, you guys have a lot of team success. What have your first 2 years been like in the league?
My first 2 years have kind of been a whirlwind experience. I feel like my whole rookie class and my team did a complete like revamp, and we had a huge class come in where they drafted a ton of people in like the first and second round. And it was kind of like, all right, kids, like, let's go. Like there was no like warm up. We had like a new coach too. So I feel like it wasn't a lot of pressure in my head at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, girl, that is a lot of pressure. It's
like, what's next?
I know, literally, we just had so much responsibility coming in, and it was like my whole rookie class. It wasn't just me. So I honestly, like, that is a big reason why I was able to just come in and do my thing, is because there was like 8 of us in the same situation where we're like, oh, we don't really know what's going on. Like, we're just happy to be here. And honestly, like, we're super grateful and super hungry. So I think it was kind of a good thing. But yeah, so the first year was kind of crazy. I went to an Olympics that summer, which was also crazy. It was one of my first camps with the US team. I went to France abroad for the first time in my entire life. And I mean, it was just crazy, like bouncing around all the time. I mean, I'm used to bouncing around, but when you're in a different city, like every week, it's kind of crazy. Had my first off season. And then this is where I say I feel like I've seen 2 sides, because my first game of this past season, I screw up my ankle so bad that I'm out for like 3 to 4 months. So I go from like bouncing around the world to like being on my butt essentially. Like, yeah, like 3 to 4 months. And I feel like I've definitely seen both sides. And this year for me, it was kind of just like coming back up to speed, and it happened around playoffs. Thank God. But yeah, I mean, it was just a long year with like rehab and getting up to speed, but I feel like my team like really helped me a lot. My team's like a family, I feel like. So, I mean, we're a tight-knit group of girls, and they kind of helped me through it. And yeah, we ended up losing the final. That's obviously not what we wanted. It's a difference of a moment in a game like that. But I just feel like I've learned so much, and yeah, playoffs is just a crazy experience in itself. And to be able to go through that 2 times in 2 years, I feel like I've just gained so much experience from it as a player and a person, like on both sides. So, yeah.
So you're a step ahead of me with the Olympics. How was that experience? Was it something where you knew you were going to make the team? or did it kind of, a little bit of luck, a little bit of, I don't know. I don't even know what was that feeling like? How did you make the team and just the overall experience of playing on it?
Yeah, so my first camp for the US team was like the camp before the Olympics. So I'm not going to sit here. I had no clue I was going and I had like no expectations. I literally had my flight booked because there's this like international window where the Olympics is within our season. And you get like a week-long break if you just stay home with your club team. It's called a CBA break. But I actually had like my ticket to go home to Mississippi booked for that week because I was like, there's no way, like, I'm super young. Like, I'd only been to one camp. Like, they usually like pick up more experienced players for tournaments like that because I mean, it is like a grind when you're just like playing and traveling for a month straight. I mean, you don't even know what day it is. You're just waiting for the next game. And so I was like, surely I'm not going. And then I got the call that I was going and I was like, oh my God, I'd never been out of the country before. So that was also an experience in itself. But I think Emma Hayes, when she came in to be a coach, she was really adamant about like kind of bringing the younger generations along. And you could see that with how many like caps that she's given to new players that have never even been called in, like me. I'd never even been called into the youth system before. And my first camp was with like the full national team. So I feel like she brought me and my teammate that was in a similar situation. We were both in our rookie year. We were performing well. And I feel like that's kind of like the MO of her reign as like the coach now is just like, if you're performing in club, like you're going to get yanked up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened with us. We were crushing it first half of the year. And I feel like our style at the Spirit is also really complementary to the style that they play. So, I mean, she was probably just like, these girls are killing it. We're taking them to the tournament.
Let's ride.
I mean, we were freaking out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. We were freaking out. So yeah, it was crazy. Obviously, like my first trip out of the country was a whole month at the Olympics. It was so cool though. Like, and I feel like I tell Halle this all the time. My international travel is so warped now because when you're traveling with the national team, you get treated like royalty.
Yep.
So all I know is like, I mean, obviously I don't fly first class when I'm in the States, but when I'm traveling abroad and I can like lay down in the plane, I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's not like at club. So it's like you kind of get a little bit of duality there. But yeah, it was just a phenomenal experience. And obviously I was an alternate. So I was like there in the stands, like when they won, but just being able to like experience that and see that. It was like me and my club teammate were in the stands together. We're like, well, this could be us one day. It was really awesome. So,
but it's nice because it gives you that feeling of winning, but also that stay hungry mindset. So that's it's a cool happy medium, like you said.
For sure. Yeah.
So Halle, what was it like experiencing games, learning from someone like Alyssa Nair? Is it something where you feel like you've learned a lot and you're taking a lot of momentum into next season? I know you just signed another 1-year extension, so congratulations on that. What have you learned and what are your kind of goals for the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think my situation training under Alyssa, obviously I've kind of just been trying to be a sponge and soak up all I can from her, even just her training habits and stuff like that. I was pretty lucky, honestly, this year. I mean, it sucked the circumstances that there was injuries, but I was able to play in 3 games. So that was really cool. One of them was at Soldier Field, which I feel like was also another kind of full circle moment for me. Just my parents growing up Chicago sports fans from Northwest Indiana. Like that was obviously incredible. So yeah, I think my mindset going into next year is going to kind of stay the same, stay ready in case I'm going to be called upon, but just learn as much as I can since Alyssa just re-signed another year-long contract and then Katie Lund will be there too. So those are 2 highly experienced goalkeepers that you can obviously learn tons of different things from.
So when you say, how the Northwest Indiana Chicago ties, what was it like kind of, growing up watching the Stars and now playing for them? Is it like a surreal moment of, you're all these Chicago sports teams and now you're one of those athletes? Is it kind of like a starstruck moment that you can't really realize that you're still in that position, or does it feel like you're meant to be there?
No, definitely is kind of a starstruck moment. I feel like sometimes I'm like at my games and I'm just remembering like watching them on TV and seeing these players who, I mean, Chicago has had some really incredible players come through there too. So just being able to be a part of that culture and organization is kind of just, I don't know, sometimes you have to like pinch yourself, as cheesy as it sounds, but it's like just taking everything in and just, I don't know. I mean, thinking back to those times with my family where we're watching those great players play, now I'm on the field with them. So
And Hal, so you've had a pretty awesome experience. I know you have a new partnership with Nike. How did that come about? And what are you grateful for in that situation? What has it brought just from an opportunity standpoint?
I mean, it's just been really cool. Like similar to that, it's just kind of like when I was younger, I remember like begging my parents for new cleats, and now I like get them every new drop. And it's like, what is my life right now? Like you look back at moments like with your family and stuff, and you're just kind of like, wow, like, ugh. But yeah, so I started talking to them when obviously my team was doing really well. And I feel like with that comes more visibility. It's like any sport in any league
For
ever.
sure.
So I feel like they were kind of like keeping an eye on us young people that were doing well in the league, because I feel like they were trying to sign like younger, similar to the national team thing. Like I feel like the younger people were on the rise, getting more visibility. So that was kind of like the main focus of my team, especially at the Spirit, because we had so many successful rookies and it was a big like media thing at the time.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
then when I went to the Olympics, it became kind of like a bigger story with me and my teammate. And that's around the time that I signed. I'd say I want to say September, like after that summer, that's when they came into contact with my agent. And that's kind of when we got stuff going. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. They're so kind always. And they're so like thoughtful with the athletes and stuff, always giving us like the best of the best, which I'm so thankful for, because I go through cleats like crazy, especially with the amount of playing that we do. So, I mean, it's just awesome. And once again, I'm just so grateful for it, because when I was younger, like if you would have told me I would have been signing with Nike in my first year as a rookie, I would have been like, there's no way. I'd laugh in your face. But to be here now, it's sick.
And so this could be for the both of you, Halle playing for Chicago, and then Hal, whether it's being sponsored by Nike, the national women's soccer team, or the playing for the Spirit. Is it something that you guys hold a different sense of pride or responsibility, that you want to set an example for like those younger girls and guys too, of soccer players, just kind of give back in a way, but knowing that, you were once that age, and it's something that you guys have to, not only play hard, but set a good example off the field as well?
For sure. I feel like I'm pretty passionate about that, being from the Deep South. I mean, I'm from Mississippi, and when I was growing up, I really didn't have like a lot of examples. Like I didn't really know the opportunities that came with soccer until I got a lot older, because I didn't have anyone around me that was doing it. No one really took sports seriously where I was from, and I had to move to Atlanta and stuff like that to get seen more. And for me, I feel like a lot of pride representing that area. And I hope to be like that example for young girls in the Deep South, because like, I just want people to know that there's way more opportunities now too, especially with like the different levels and leagues that we have for women's professional soccer in the States. So I just hope to be an example for girls like that.
Awesome.
yeah, I also think on the goalkeeping side, like our position is very different, I guess, than all the field players. So if I can ever help out young goalkeepers along their journey, just because I've probably experienced most of the things that they're going through too, then I feel like that's kind of something that I prioritize a lot too.
Halle, I wish you were able to help out 9-year-old Lucas when, he was thrown into the fire. But, I mean, I'm not lying. I probably cried more that little halftime than I've ever cried in sports my whole life. And so it's funny looking back. And how, for you with Nike especially, if you can ever bring back like the Nike Elite socks from like 10 years ago, if you remember those, I wore those I probably still have them, but just throwing it out there that there are still some loyal Nike Elite socks fans. So
I think I had every color.
oh my God. I mean, it's truly, I mean, it is Christmas time. So, those are what I used to ask for every year, but
Keep that in mind.
so
Noted. Yeah.
you guys played each other twice this season. I believe there was a tie, and then the Spirit won, I think 3-2. But what was it like going from being teammates to playing against each other? Was it something where it's like, weird, or is it like, well, hey, it's still soccer, or obviously still friends off the field, but what was that kind of like a surreal moment? I'm sure I don't know if you have played any other teammates, but just curious on what that day or game was like.
I mean, it's just so fun. I just love knowing that there's a familiar face on the other side because then after the game, I like someone to chit chat with, and I'm just so excited. And it's just crazy because, I mean, there are like a couple of Clemson people in the league, but to have someone that you're playing against and you can like relate to after the game and just be like, hey, it's like the best feeling ever. It's like a little bit of familiarity because, I mean, we both had like a great time at Clemson. And I mean, like, yeah, we're competing, but at the end of the day, like, she's my old teammate, and it's so exciting just to see her on the other side and be like, wow, like we both like made it,
Yeah. It is, like she said, there's a couple other Tigers in the league, so I feel like I look forward to those games.
Yes, for sure.
And it's also just a little bit of like, I'm so proud of them and like all that they're doing, so it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
So you guys now live in DC and Chicago. Real quick, are you guys able to say like perks about each city that you guys really like?
Yeah.
I'll start with Chicago just because I love it. I mean, I feel like there's so much to do. There's great food. Obviously, I mean, the summers, it's like the best city in the world, in my opinion. So, and then also just on a more personal level for me is I still have family in Northwest Indiana that's like an hour away, and there's direct flights from O'Hare to basically anywhere that you want to go in the country. So I feel like it's perfect for me.
My favorite thing about DC, and I hate to bring it back to sports, but I mean, I guess that's why we're here.
Oh, of course.
Kind of like how they show up for our games. Like, I mean, we've broken attendance records like game after game, especially in like playoffs. That's when our stadium gets crazy. We get 20,000 fans, and I mean, it's just electric. Like, you can't hear anything. They're so interactive. They're crazy in the best way. And I feel like DC has built like a little community for women's soccer, which I feel like is pretty rare to see when you have like a whole city that's just like bought in. So it's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah. Whenever we went to play them at Audi, I mean, it's incredible. Like the atmosphere and everything there is awesome. I feel like everyone in the league enjoys playing there. So it definitely is cool.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I've only been to DC once, and it was in August. It was very hot. I remember going on a run and felt like I ran for 15 miles. So I will say a Chicago summer is a little bit more intriguing to me than a DC summer. So when you guys play in Chicago, I'll be there as opposed to DC. So
It's cold.
yeah, see, exactly. I'll have my long sleeve shirt on. I'll be comfortable, and I won't be sweating. So when you guys reflect back on each of your careers, and how I'll start with you, who is your supporting cast? Who really has helped define you personally, professionally, not just, as a soccer player, but also just as a human in general?
Yeah, I have two big ones. I think my grandma, just because like she's crazy, like she's intense, but she's also like the sweetest woman ever, and she's just like so consistent. She's always been with me, and like on the field, off the field. I mean, she doesn't know anything about soccer. She's just like loves me as a person, and I'm like, oh, I love that. But when it comes to like soccer, like sports oriented people, I'd probably say when I blew out my knee, I had a strength coach and I mean, Halle literally knows him because he comes to like all of my games when he gets the chance. Like even at Clemson, he would make the 2-hour drive up from Atlanta just to see us play. And he kind of took me through my ACL rehab back when I was like kind of freaking out a little bit. He was like, he's always been there for me. And I mean, it's been like, I want to say like 8 years now. And he's still like my biggest supporter, like on and off the field. I feel like whenever I have like a question or I'm kind of like career wise, like I go to him, like soccer wise, I go to him. And I mean, he's just the best. And I feel like because he like helped me through my ACL and everything, and like even in college, like stuff is hard and like sports are hard and I need to be prepared, I would go train with him in the off season and he'd help me out with that. And I'd always feel confident coming in with the beep test and stuff because I mean, he helped me out. So.
And what was his name?
Ray Zingler.
Shout out Ray. Shout out Big Ray. Coach Ray. Ray. And Halle, how about yourself? Who's really impacted your life from a supporting cast standpoint?
Definitely my family is number one. Me and my parents are really close. My dad, I mean, everyone thinks we're like twins because we're just married.
Older brother, like, who is this guy?
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely number one. I think soccer wise, my goalkeeper coach from club, his name was Clint. He shaped me probably into the goalkeeper that I am today. I mean, literally just went back and trained with him like a few weeks ago too, because he's that good for me. And then my goalkeeper coach in college also, Siri Molinix, she has a history of, shaping some really good goalkeepers. And then I think just as a person, she was a player. She had all the things, she has a silver medal, like definitely a great person and resource for me to have too.
And really quickly, since we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, but you said that your parents moved to South Carolina after you committed to Clemson. Was this something that you knew they were going to do, or did they just ultimately decide we're going to pack up and go and just go support?
No, yeah. So I was born and raised in Colorado, so that's all I knew. I came to Clemson. I was here for like 2 years before they actually moved, so I was able to, get my feet under me and everything. But it was honestly a surprise to me, and I think my dad and my mom both they loved it here so much. And there's like lakes all around Clemson, so they're actually building on Lake Hartwell. So whenever they were coming here, basically watching me play and just to visit me, they fell in love with it, which I don't really blame them. I feel like everyone who comes to Clemson kind of sometimes like will come back just because we all fall in love with it. But no, it was definitely a surprise to me whenever they said that. And I mean, when you're in college, you're kind of skeptical, when your parents are moving close by, but I feel like I'm like friends with them at this point. So it was kind of perfect.
Was it like, it wasn't like a freshman year party? They're like rolling up to the same party. Like, what up? Yeah. No, that's cool. And last thing I'll leave you guys with, Hal and Halle, but Hal, I'll start with you first. Advice to the next generation, whether it's navigating through injuries, trying to make it to the next level through a recruiting process. What's your advice to, young girls and guys out there trying to play soccer, or any sport for that matter?
Yeah, it sounds corny, but just like never giving up. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you go through so many like seasons as an athlete, and I don't
Roller
mean like
coaster.
seasons.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. Like so many ebbs and flows. I mean, like we're still ebbing and flowing now as professional athletes. And I know like when you watch people on TV that are like insanely good in the Premier League, like you think everything's going perfect for it's probably not. And they've probably been through those ebbs and flows a million times over, and that's why they're so great. But probably that I feel like sometimes people get into ebbs and they're like, oh, I'm done. Like in high school, I even had a lot of friends like that. And I feel like that's honestly like why you become like elite is because when you go through those ebbs, like you can crawl out of them like a better person and a better player. So just staying persistent and like like trusting your path, and that like it might not look the same as like Johnny next to you, but it's still yours and it's still important and it's still going to go somewhere. So.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of trust too, like what you're saying, that your journey is going the way it's supposed to. I mean, obviously, when you're in the middle of an injury, you're like, why did this happen to me? Like you don't feel like you deserve it. And then I think once you're out the other side, it kind of, you see things so much differently. You're like, if that wouldn't have happened, I don't think I would be, like you said, the person or player that I am now. So just kind of trusting that things will work out how they're supposed to.
So do you guys already know when you guys play each other next season? Is that
Not yet.
No, not yet.
We haven't released our schedule yet, but
Yeah.
all right? I'm gonna have to pencil that in. It's ideally the Chicago location, but if it's DC, I guess for people coming to support the podcast, I'll have to support you guys. So no,
we'll actually pay we'll do 2 games. So
one of each.
home,
One of each.
in
Okay,
Chicago, home, and then
ladies. Thank you so much for just willing to come on and share your story. From being teammates to rivals, and now not rivals, but competitors. I think it's important for people to reflect back and know that you guys made an impact together at Clemson and, other teammates. And I hope you guys carry that friendship on with all your teammates that you play with at Clemson and root for each other when you're not playing against each other, but keep that competitive spirit at the same time. And thank you just for sharing your story in general. It's really nice. And like I said, this is the first podcast we've had with more than one guest. So congrats. Yeah, we made it.
waiting for the certificate.
Yeah. I'll print that out for the Chicago game. So best of luck next season. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and maybe we'll get you on next year after the season.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye.